I remember, like, during my final push, a lot of people don't know the story, but there's something off about that night, right? We started out at 8:30 in the hopes of reaching the summit in the morning, 6:30, 8:30, around that time. And I remember walking just behind my sister, but it got to a point where I started seeing her disappear into the void, right? And now I cannot catch up with my twin, and I'm starting to worry. It's getting to me. But at that point, I was just focused on letting my sister know that I was struggling. Like, I couldn't feel my pulse. My body had become numb. I almost felt like a fish out of water. But the one thing that I really wanted to do was to see her. Yeah. And I remember just laboring my way, putting one foot in front of the other, like literally lifting one foot in front of the other, until I got to her, right? And that was one of the most painful, nerve-wracking experiences for me. But in about 20 odd minutes, I finally saw her. And, I literally had tears in my eyes, but it was probably frozen. We were behind a mask. You can't hear anything, you can't talk. So I remember just telling her, with a sweet gesture, like, I'm done. This is it for me. So she looked at me and she sat me down, right? And this is a 400-meter short of the summit, so a place called Balcony, where a lot of climbers change their regulators to proceed. And she looked at me and she's like, Nungshi, what's wrong? And I was just like, no, I can't, really struggling. So she takes off my mask and she then tells me that there's no oxygen, there's no air coming out of it. Now I started to panic because I was like, oh boy, now what do I do? This is like my last hope. So as if by magic or God's hand, there was a Sherpa who was retreating. And he offered his cylinder to me, regulator, saying, Baini in Nepalese meaning sister, why don't you take my regulator as I'm going down? So it made total sense, right? And I remember taking the first breath out of that regulator and feeling just truly on top of the world. Like, I never really understood the importance of a breath. At that moment, it just became so clear that we are so fortunate to be living this life, that every breath matters. I'm like, best shot. And she never left me even for one bit. She was just behind me, and I kept believing in her ability to, to support me as I was on this journey, as we, slowly inched closer to the summit. But in true honesty, I mean, that experience really shook me from within. And there were times when I felt like I wouldn't make it on my way down. But had it been for her, I would actually be somewhere on the mountain. But I'm so grateful that she was there and helped me out of that situation. Yeah, it was really, really tough.